Hey guys, welcome to Lenin 8. In this video, we are going to discuss a Java program to print longest vowel sequence of string. Means if a string input is given as scientific in this example, so in this string, the longest vowel, so here I and E are two vowels together. Then here I is the only one vowel. So because before it's T and after is F, so which are not vowels. So I is alone as a vowel here. Then one more I as a vowel alone. Then which is the longest vowel sequence? IE. So that should be the output. Yeah. So for any given input, the logic has to work. I recommend you to pause the video and try your own logic. So let us continue the complete discussion of the same. For example, if the string input is given, say string s equals to any string value. So for discussion, value is not required, or for logic, value is never required. So once we have a string, so as per our requirement, what we supposed to do? So we have to print the only vowel part, correct? It means vowels are required from the string and consonants are not required. Consonants are not required. So this is the first part. So it means how do we eliminate non-vowels from the given string? So for that, so we can take one for loop. Assume I'm writing this logic inside a method. So first, if we consider one for loop, the loop has to start from 0th index position of the string characters. Then I should be less than or equals to s dot. One more important point here. So on strings length is a method. In Java, on arrays length is a property. On strings length is a method. So this is one most common mistake. Please correct it. Then since we have to check each and every character, so I plus plus. Then what's the purpose of this for loop? This for loop is get a character from the string by using s dot char at corresponding index number is a method. Caret is a method, and this we can store into any character variable. I am taking ch. Once we get each and every character from the string, what we supposed to do? We have to check if it is a consonant. We have to replace it. If it is consonant, then replace with one common character or same character. If it is vowel, don't replace anything, because we want results as a vowel here, right? That's the reason I'm taking one if condition. This character should not be equals a vowel A, and the same character, it should not be equals next vowel E, and the same character, it should not be equals to next vowel I, and also the same character should not be equals to O, and also last one, the same character should not be equals U as well. If it is not equals, what we supposed to do? We have to replace that. So to replace a particular character in a string, there is a method called as replace itself. So we can apply this method on a string. So s dot replace is a method which will replace what it will replace, or what it has to replace. The current character ch is a variable for that. Then comma, it is to be replaced with, so any common character I said. So here I am taking a space. Wherever it is not a vowel, we are replacing that particular character with a space. So since a string is immutable, the changes has to be stored back to string variable yes once again. We can do this by using string builder or string buffer also. Okay. So this is the only purpose of this for loop. It means by the end of this for loop execution, in our string yes variable, so we'll be having only vowels. In the string, we'll be having only vowels. If it is not a vowel, vowel will be there. If it is not a vowel, space will be there. If it is a vowel, vowels will be there like this. And if it is not a vowel, space will be there. So if you want, you can print and cross verify also at this point of time. Yeah. So this is the first part of the program. So we have eliminated successfully the non-vowel characters from the string. So what is the next part? Next part is, so on string, we can apply one more method called as the split method. S dot split method. So split method will split the given string based on the programmer's input type. So in our string, if it's not a vowel, what is the next character which is present? It's a space which is present, right? That's what we are replacing with. So here I'm splitting this string by space. So if we split a string by space, its result or return type is nothing but a string array. String array, and here we have to store it into some different variable. So I'm using some other variable, say s2. Split is a method which can be applied on strings based on the programmer's input. If you want to split by letter A, then all the A's will be removed and the result will become string array. If you want to split by B, then all the B's will be removed and based on the B it will be splitted and the result will be string array. So similarly here also we are splitting by space. That's why result is string array. Without spaces the result will be there. Yeah. For example, if I am taking this as INDIA is the input, then here what it will become? I and N is a consonant, so space will be there. D is also consonant, space will be there. Then I and A will be there. So this is what the result after the replacement. Now what we are doing here, we are splitting by this. What is the result of this array? So in this array, first string elements, because a string array will consist of string elements only. First element will be I, and then some more empty space elements will be there. Then this one more element will be IA as a string element. This is what the result of split method for this input. Now from this, what we supposed to do? So we have to get the biggest one, right? That's what our requirement is. So how to get the biggest number of the array? Like we'll be taking index position 0th element as a reference, then remaining all will be comparing. Then we are going to use a swapping technique or storing into some other variable. So similarly here also the same thing. So you have to get the biggest string which is having the more number of characters. That is nothing but the length of the string elements. So for the same thing, what is the Java code? So here, so the first same string array is a return type of this one. We are using a variable s2 once we implement a split method on the corresponding string. And because we are using a space, therefore here also is split by space. If you are using some z, then split by z. Okay. The next, to find the biggest, we need to have a reference. The corresponding string array's 0th index position is recommended to take the reference so that we can write the remaining part as a loop so comfortably. So since it is a string array element will be of string type, therefore we can store by using string data type. So since we need a biggest vowel, so let me take some name as biggest vowel sequence as a variable name. Yeah. Then for loop int I equals to, already we have taken 0th index position as a reference. Then should we run the loop from 0 or we have to start from 1? We have to start from 1 because we can reduce JVM's one iteration. It saves time. Then I should be less than or equals to. For all the elements of S2, the loop has to run. So S2 is what? It's an array. So therefore, you have to use S2.length property or S2.length method. So this we should be careful. It should be a length property because it's array. -1 to run the last till last index number. Then I plus plus for each and every element of the string array. Then inside this for loop, what we're supposed to do? So if condition, what is our array name? S2. How to get each and every element of the array? With index number. And S2 array elements are which type? String type. So on this, we have to implement a length method again. It's not a property. On array element, which is of string type, we have to use length method. If array element length is greater than our reference variable, big vowel sequence dot length, because we have to find the longest vowel sequence, which is nothing but which string has more number of characters after removing the non-vowels. That's the condition we are checking here. Then what we're supposed to do? If this condition satisfies, inside this one, the corresponding string array element, we have to store back to that big vowel sequence variable. That's the purpose of this if condition. Then it's the purpose of this for loop as well. Once the entire loop is completed, then finally in this big oval sequence variable, we'll be getting the longest oval sequence outside the for loop. So here you can use a print statement, print the same variable name called big vowel sequence. So this is the complete logic of how do we get the biggest vowel sequence of any given string input. Let us also execute this through Eclipse IDE. In this Eclipse, I have taken a class name vowel with a method with return type void and with method name as get biggest vowel sequence, and it is taking one string parameter with a variable name called s. So first we are using one for loop to get each character, and we are checking its if it is a vowel we are not replacing, if it is not a vowel we are replacing with a space. Then followed by, once we get the result of the string, then we are implementing a method called as split method, which results a string array, and we are storing into s2 variable. So from this string array, to find the biggest element or biggest in terms of number of characters, so we are using one reference as a 0th index position element, storing into this variable called big vowel sequence, which is of string type, as we discussed. Then followed by, we are using one more for loop to run the loop from index position 1, because 0 is a reference number, then till the last index number, and here s2 is array, therefore we have to use a length method, not sorry, length property, not length method. Then for each and every element of the array, it's I plus plus. So inside this loop, we are using one condition to check the array element length if it is bigger than the reference element length. So because array element is a string, reference element also is a string, we are using a length method. Then if the condition is true, then for every time the corresponding element of the array, we are replacing into our reference variable called big vowel sequence. Then finally, we are using a print statement to print the big vowel sequence. Then to execute, I have taken another class, and which is taking the input from the keyboard with the help of the scanner class next method, and we are creating object for this oval class here, and then we are using this object variable to call the method. Let us execute, and first let me give the input scientific is a string word, so that what is our expected output here. So where the more number of vowels were there, that is IE is the output in this. Then to cross verify, I'm using one more input. So wantedly I'm giving some 3 A's at the starting, then some randomly some other input, which is having some other vowels also. And at last I'm giving 2 vowels, that is 2 A's. Then what should be the output? Triple A, which is working fine. And also one more time I would like to check by giving some input, but at the last wantedly I'm giving a vowels as I. It's not on the same letter. You can give for any combination, I, E, A, O, U, something like this. Then what is our output? So again, the last part is having the longest vowel sequence consecutively. That should be the output. So this is the complete generic logic which works for every string input. I hope you enjoyed it. And for me to make more videos, please use the comment section to post your questions. See you in the next video. Thank you.